Alright, it is time for day 10 of Reborn. So, we finished DigiPeak, we're at OP10. We've gone ahead and made a couple OP10 items here, just a couple things to look at, see what's good on the character, see what builds we can come up with. And you might notice that we're in the dust right now, and that's not a normal map to really test anything in, but we've got a greed in our hand, and we've got a wasp. We've got a legendary trooper, and we just happen to have a Godspeed on our character now. So, yeah, if I go ahead and trigger Onslaught, zoom in, 89 miles an hour. Almost as fast as a car. Well, it's faster than a car at normal speed, but it's not faster than a car boosting. And then, of course, sprinting 84 miles an hour. So, yeah, this is slightly faster zoomed in, but still sprinting is almost the same. And it's faster than a rolling car at the very least. So, yeah, we got some movement now. We can get around. Alright, now, from here, the very first build we're going to test out is the Grenadier, because that's what we've been running this entire time. Now, apparently at OP10, these give a +8 to skill instead of a +7. We've got Ubiquity here, which replaces the Breath of the Seraphs and provides grenade damage and passive grenade regen. We're mainly just using this for the nade damage, but of course we could swap to a matching elemental relic or even an aggression relic if we are just using laser discer. We've got a wrecker on because honestly, why not? This thing was doing insane damage. A Primrose because survivability is nice, and turret spam is also pretty nice. And then for our Tediore Chucks, we're using a Laser Discer, an Avenger, a normal Obsidian SMG, or a Bulwark, which replaces the Baby Maker. Now, the Baby Maker does more damage than... Well, okay. The Baby Maker technically does more damage than the Gemstones, but the Gemstones have a higher base damage. And the reason it does more is because it still spawns in the additional projectile or two. So this technically does more damage, but this just stat-wise says it does more. Of course, beyond that, we don't have to use any Tediores. We could, of course, use any sort of explosive splash Torg weapons that also deal grenade. We could realistically take advantage of pretty much any gun with this build anyway. So we might go ahead and do that. We'll go walk into some mobbing areas. We'll walk into a little bit of some raids. We'll just see what we can do damage-wise. Alright, so once again, spamming out Washburn Refinery as my preferred mobbing map. We're going to use the Wrecker here against a Junk Loader. They're weirdly tanky in this mod, so not necessarily a great example, but we will have a different variety in the next room. And as you can see, these do a ton of damage even without Slag to help us out. We don't even have Turret out for the Battlefront bonus either, so we could be dealing, you know, even more damage, about 78%, not including the fact that, like, gun damage also kind of, you know, with Tediores and stuff, whatever. So, yeah, we can do a pretty good amount of damage. It's super duper nice. And then even if I just want to, you know, shoot a guy, we can totally just shoot a guy. Because our damage is pretty good regardless of gun choice. And a lot of these guns just honestly feel pretty nice to use. This is Abaddon, but it's basically the Ogre, from what I can tell. It does replace the Kerblaster though, so the Ogre is still in the game for some reason, which is odd. But yeah, this does fine. Of course it does. Go ahead and use the Unicorn Explosion here a little bit, possibly. It's fine. We don't have any real tankiness here. We're pretty much just running a raw damage. Yeah. We do plenty of damage. Okay. And normally I would test on Hyperius, but we're actually just going to go test it on, I don't know, Vora? Sort of just because why not? He's a little bit healthier, but of course in this mod that doesn't mean much. So let's head over there. Alright, so our friendly little test subject here, we're gonna go ahead and just try to box him in a little bit. Hopefully he won't move. And then we will use the long nail sniper that we have. Forgot its name for a second there. Go ahead and try to get rid of Chief a little bit. And now we'll use our laser discer. Wow, look at that. He's got a health bar at OP10. Probably because it gets doubled. Okay, we can try the Avenger out a little bit. Of course, I need a good throwing distance for this to actually do its full damage. But yeah, it's gonna be fine because the raid bosses in this mod are a little bit weaker. We could throw a couple other things at him. We could throw the Bulwark. We could probably throw a Deliverance at him. We could throw a couple items at him just to really see what they do. So we might do one more run. We also do have, what is it called? The Music of Life. I was told to grab this as well. So I'm curious about this as well. So we'll do another run. Alright, Chief is down. Turrets have done a considerable amount of damage. Let's go ahead and test out the Deliverance a little bit here. They're getting a little bit distracted. Yeah, that does a good amount of damage. We'll try the Baby Makers out too. Aura is kind of free, which is a little scary. But we should be good. Yeah, seems good. And one more little test here, just to go ahead and test out the Music of Life, because I was specifically told about it as well. I'm really interested how a turret build is going to do. We might as well respec into one after this kill, and then just see how well they can last out. Alright, so do you still do gunnering stuff? No, you're just a throw. Okay, interesting. And of course it does pretty good damage too. Okay. Well, yeah, there we go. As we know, the Grenadier build works just fine. It's what we've been crutching on for the entire playthrough. This is fine. This works. Alright, so, yep, we have gone ahead and respec'd really quick. We're still pretty much using the generic setup we had before. I did get the Norfleet from this mod, which is super duper cool. That looks sick. I do wonder if that orb changes color based on element. That's really cool. Okay. So, yeah, the Behemoth, this is really nice. I do like that. I do need to shoot a basic ad with that at some point. But for right now, we are here to go ahead and test out the Legendary Engineer. So the spec is pretty much the same, just with a little bit more prioritization into some turret stuff. So we've got Gemini, we've got Double Up, we've got Laser Sight for more fire rate for turret, and of course Sentry because more shots in a burst and way more turret duration. So this is a turret build, but it's really an Axton build overall. Alright, throw one turret here, throw next turret here, start fight. And they're doing really good damage. Let's go ahead and make sure that Chief gets killed here before they can weaken him too much so that the shield swap doesn't happen. It would help if I could actually aim. I am pretty bad at the game. Okay, there we go. So, probably not quite gonna get the kill in time. But of course, I could also play the video game and help my turrets along. And as you can see, they're doing a really, really good job considering this is supposed to be OP10 Veracitus. So yeah, let's just provide some support here. Yeah, they did a pretty good job. Not quite the full raid boss, but pretty close to it. and we already have a second turret to try again. So with that cooldown, yeah, you could just do turret about it. It's pretty nice. Okay, so getting ready to spec out our next build here, and I was looking at our equipment. So this is the Zodiac. It replaces the Roaster, and it is a plasma cannon. So I have a grog nozzle that I'm going to use with this. We're just going to see what happens. Okay? Cool. Well, the game's still alive, and those are eventually going to despawn. And we're good. It's like nothing happened. Cool. Here, let's go out into the dust really quick. Just to test one last thing about this. %100% absorb chance. Okay, so another interesting weapon that we found while testing out some stuff. This is the Pyrophobia, but it does the Novas on impact, and it does a lot of them, which makes me want to go find a couple unsuspecting targets and test this out real quick. Alright, we've got some lovely subjects here. Nice. One of them has a chroma. Wait, that guy literally has a chroma. That's kind of terrifying. That's cool, though. Alright, so for our next build, we are looking at the Legendary Trooper here, and I'm a little bit torn with this one. So this one provides some swap speed and fire rate and +2 Ranger, a lot of +2 Ranger, that's a lot of nice stats there. It provides 2 Onslaught, and it also provides 2 Quick Charge. So in one aspect, I could see running a Blood Coat for a little bit of rocket jumping. I could see running a Sovereign for a little bit of hybrid. So this would be more of a rocket jumping plus tankiness. Or I could see running full tanky shield with this. And these are the 3 ways I see it. Either min-maxed for rocket jumping, in between, or just running full thickness. So we're going to run the in between for right now and see how it feels. But the idea for this, for me, is just to be a fast boy and a thick boy at the same time. So we'll go ahead and try to trigger some kill skills. I don't know if Behemoth necessarily does the best damage. Might be worth just running a TD or Chuck on this character instead. So let's go ahead and pick out a fire one for this map. And so, yeah, we are now pretty thick. Of course, standing in front of a mob at OP10, especially while taking a dot, is still not a great choice for your life. Alright, so different map. And, of course, we don't have great health maintenance on our character, so we are pretty reliant on our shield to actually be good for the whole survivability aspect of this. So let's keep walking forward and see what we can do. Maybe running Primrose wouldn't be a bad idea. It does provide elemental res and a lot of cooldown for turret, alongside some health regen for ourselves. That is a Teeth of Terra. Okay. So yeah, with it being OP10 and with these being OP10 mobs and stuff, it's still gonna hurt. But hopefully our survivability should feel pretty good, and at the very least, we are extremely fast. So even if they are a problem, you just run around them or past them because you're just so fast. And we could go ahead and try to test this against a raid boss, but I think it'll be no more effective than our next build, because I'm thinking for the Legendary Soldier, This might be more of our raid bossing centric class mod if we're not relying on TD Chucks, which I would highly advise TD Chucks in this mod because apparently they are just really, really, really good. But we're going to go ahead and spec out the Legendary Soldier and then try to take this against a raid without Chucks. Alright, we have gone ahead and spec'd out our Legendary Soldier build here. So we have pretty much just gone for almost everything the grenade build does, but we've not gone specifically for the grenade skills, because once again we don't want to rely on grenades or TD or Chucks with this build. We have double up here alongside laser sight for extra fire rate for a chance for turrets to apply slag so that we can run a damage or healing nade. So hopefully that should be good. We've got pretty much every gun damage skill here in middle tree except for duty calls, of course, because that is for non-elemental guns, and I would rather just element match with proper guns, so not going to do that. We have ignored quick charge or healthy or anything that involves survivability because we will be fighting raids with this build, so we can just run a grog to panic heal and then just not get a hit to keep our shields up. And there's not really a B shield properly in this mod. Of course we do have the Wasp, which does provide the amp shot every couple of seconds, but we can just run a Primrose because survivability and cooldown is pretty cool. And then, yeah, we'll go take this up against a guy, shoot him with a couple of toys, and see what we can come up with for damage. Turret in front of the boss, turret behind the boss, shoot boss, shoot weird guy that pops out. And then I'm going to go ahead and throw on a grog. I don't think we'll need it necessarily. But from here, just shooting the mans with whatever gun you think is most effective. Of course, I think TD or Chucks might still deal a little bit more. This is not too bad of damage though. We're pretty reliant on whatever guns the mod hands us, or just whatever we think looks good. But it's clearly working. And if he does get loose of turrets, that could be a problem, but we should be okay here. Alright, and we did go down, and we do kind of have to rely on a little bit of some TD or Chucks at the end there. But yeah, if you don't want to run a TD or grenade spammy build, this seems to be pretty effective at the job. Of course, you could probably make a change or two depending on what boss you are fighting. You could run Metal Storm if you can trigger kill skills off of tentacles or midgets or spider ants or rats, or insert whatever the raid boss has here. You could also use quick charge if you really needed it, but I don't think it's too helpful for you on the build. And the Legendary Soldier does once again buff healthy, but considering the fact that we only have one built-in health regen skill and it's 2% a second, I don't think it's really worth stacking health on this character, because getting above health gate at OP10 is already hard enough, and you already need to do it a lot. So that tiny little bit is really not going to help compared to just holding a grog or wearing a Primrose. So yeah, I'd say this is a pretty respectable build, and that just leaves us with the Slayer of Terra. Well, we've done some sciencing, and we believe the Slayer of Terra is best used for spamming out reloads as fast as possible, because it provides plus to pressure, and also turret, and also some damage, and some more damage. So we're just, maybe this is a TD or Chuck com. We're not really too sure. So the plan with the build is to put on a turtle to drop our max health, put on a sovereign to increase our max health, and then use our handy dandy little thing we've came up with here to be able to do this. And then whenever we're satisfied, of course, we swap to whatever damage we have on, maybe a Grenadier plus a Fire Relic or whatever relic matches, and then we just throw those at a guy. So we're going to go ahead and test this out. I do need to find out the proper throwing distance for Vora, for example. but this should be good. This should work. Alright, go ahead and make the boss mad so that the chief spawns. Get rid of chief as quickly as we can muster. There we go. Now we do have some midgets to deal with, but hopefully they'll pretty much just leave us alone. And there you go. Okay, so that works pretty good, I would say. Of course, there is the fear that if you reload a very low mag Avenger, it will just blow up in front of you. But it looks like we're tanky enough to just eat that, so that's good. We can afford to do this. So let's go walk up to, like, I don't know, Terra, and just test it against him too. Alright, pop out turrets for the extra battlefront and the slag chance. And throw stuff. Not quite. We might have to readjust where we throw from. Ahead. It works with the Deliverance too. Ooh. Okay, so we couldn't quite get the Avenger to line up how we wanted it to, but it's okay because we found alternate means. Nice. Alright, so maybe not the most consistent or the smartest decision that I've ever made, but I would say this works pretty well, at the very least. Conceptually, this is only useful if you have really, really good burst DPS. Because the second you don't, there's, like, you don't get the kill. That's just how it is. Alright, so we have a stupid idea here. I can't quite kill Terra with the strat that we've come up with because I'm just not great at playing the video game. But I want to see if this lights up our little keyboard display that we have, because it should. It's literally so fast it doesn't pick up the X or Z inputs. That's beautiful. Okay. And yeah, I guess that'll go ahead and do it. We've found a lot of interesting things during this run. Most of them being the fact that you can TD or chuck at enemies and they just evaporate. And yeah, Axton feels really, really good. He's good at what he's normally good at in vanilla, but like even more exaggeratedly so, because he can do a lot of grenade damage. He does pretty decent gun damage as well. This has all felt really good. We found somewhat unique builds to do with everything. Of course, the Grenadier and the Slayer of Terra basically serve the same purpose, except for the Grenadier is more reliable, since the Slayer of Terra I thought was more of a just throw stuff at dudes type of thing. And then the Soldier and the Trooper hold pretty similar places. I thought the Trooper was more of a mobbing go fast build, whereas the Soldier was more of a raiding comm. And then turrets were able to almost entirely kill Vora isolated by themselves with no help from the player, so even turrets feel really, really good. Now, of course, the raid bosses probably are a little too squishy, especially when you consider the fact that some of the normal bosses in the game took longer to kill, but it's a choice, and this is a mod that is no longer getting updated, so this is just how it is. So if you want to try it, go ahead and try it out. That'll do it for this run. Day 10.